So we're about to get started. Got a couple of folks still joining us here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching this live with us or you're watching the replay. We are glad to have you. My name is Jason-Antalek. I am the owner and CEO of the Public Speakers Association, and we are hosting the Meet the Expert series this evening. We have got the very talented Mr. Chris Salem, and he is sharing his expertise from many, many years of experience. We're talking 26 years of just senior sales executive experience on top of 12 years of putting himself into all kinds of trouble, which I absolutely understand, as 8 years sober myself. He's also, for the last 4 years, using and leveraging his communication skills and his authenticity and his depth of experience to help various industries, executives, speakers, coaches, authors. Really, Chris is the kind of guy who helps everybody. And I knew right away, working with Chris, that I really wanted to have him on the Meet the Expert series, because he really embodies the authenticity and that connection. The things that I really hold dear and that I appreciate and that I try to reflect in what I do are the same things that I see in Chris. And he's been speaking for ages, right? This is a keynote guy.
It's been a while.
Yeah, he goes way back before they invented keynote and they gave Chris a call, right? That's kind of how that
this is before the speaker websites like eSpeaker and Speaker Hub. We didn't know anything about those at that time.
This is pre-internet, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Chris still has a rotary phone. Okay, so it looks like we've got the folks we're going to in. We might be having a little bit of trouble with our Facebook Live, so I'm going to work on that. Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let you.
You want me to go and share the screen?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get you started. That's why people are here. So a real quick.
It says host disabled attendee screen sharing, so I don't know if you can let me. Let's see.
There we go.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. There we go.
That's
now we're in. We're in now. Okay. All right. Can everybody see that right now? Just give me a thumbs up. I'm just gonna play from the start. Okay. Is everyone good there? I know the screen might be a little off here, but you can still see it. Everyone see the screen? We're good? Okay. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to become a trusted advisor in your business. So what I'd like you to kind of think about is, some of the key takeaways that we're going to talk about. What is a trusted advisor? What is the process to become one, an influencer in your business? How will this process strategy help you to grow and sustain your business organically? You're going to learn today about why core values, not only about yourself, but about your business, are the best way to connect with your audience on an ongoing basis. You're going to learn the value of value statements and what that means in terms of a strategic role to increase sales, and then how you can develop an effective influence strategy to sustain those sales and marketing objectives. And then finally, you're going to learn why it's more important to be compelling versus unique. A lot of people think that it's what makes you unique. See, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about your audience. It's about your sphere of influence. So we're going to cover how to be more compelling to them than what makes you unique, kind of in that order. So with that being said, I would like everyone to kind of think about, what is a trusted advisor? What does that mean to you? What is a trusted advisor? Well, it's not a job. It's a role. It's a responsibility, but it's not a job. So what does that mean? See, we're all here that we're either business owners, we're speakers, we're coaches, we're authors, whatever the case may be, that is what you do. But what's more important to your audience and your sphere of influence is not only what you do, it's why you do what you do. So ask yourself, why are you doing what you do? If you are an entrepreneur, you are a speaker, you're a coach, why do you do what you do? Because until you can really be honest with yourself and be very clear why you're doing this for the right reasons, based upon your core values that we're going to learn about later. This is going to help you tremendously, not only with your marketing, but also with developing a sphere of influence that are going to be the lifeblood of your business. The people that are going to have vet you with other people and refer people to you on an ongoing basis. But there's got to be a way to go about doing this to establish that trust. So it's very important that before we, look at just what we do, especially when you're at networking events and you're speaking at events or doing virtual summits, I'm being more specific to speakers here, that you have to look at that why and be really honest with yourself what that is. Not based upon what someone has led you to believe it is, but coming from you. So what are characteristics of trusted advisors? Well, again, these could be just some examples. Again, they're self-aware, meaning that they're transparent. So when you see someone that you trust, more than likely, this is somebody that is not only trustworthy in the public or self-aware, they're more likely the same behind closed doors. They're self-aware about themselves to be transparent. So that transparency is 24/7. That also means they're genuine. And what's nice about trusted advisors and why they do what they do in the profession, in this case being speakers, is that they're mission driven, but not only to, again, for a specific cause in itself. It's again, what is compelling to their audience. It's not necessarily in terms of the services they provide. It expands far deeper than that. They're connecting with people based upon similar values that again, we're going to talk about. See, it's not about your skill in itself either, or your talent. It's really more about, again, your dedication to your why you do what you do, your purpose, that you speak from the heart. I've read many books that are some of my favorites. And would I say from a grammar standpoint, they were the best books? No. Matter of fact, they were the opposite. But yet you could just feel that person's integrity, their empathy, their soul, their every essence of their being through their words in that book. And these are the same things for speakers. That again, that we got to come from the heart, more heart than talent, than just, again, delivering a book that looks great in terms of your English and grammar. It's the same thing when we're speaking. Again, people are going to relate to others, and they're going to feel related to when you're coming from that why from the heart, that purpose. And again, what's great about trusted advisors is they really understand that success to their customers and in their business is based upon focusing on solutions, meaning that is the process. The process leads to the results they seek. They're not tied to expectations and tied to outcomes in itself. They understand that in order to grow a successful business and make it sustainable with their speaking, their training, whatever the case may be, that they have to be focused on that process, what they do in the moment, connecting with their audience, connecting on social media, whatever the case may be, and consistent with their actions and connections in order to grow the business each and every day within that process. And again, they understand that growing their business is leveraged on established relationships built upon trust, integrity, and all the core values that we'll discuss in a little bit. So what are some attributes of trust advisors? Well, again, they understand that they play to their strengths. All of us have strengths and we all have weaknesses. But if we are caught up in the things that we're not good at, we're not doing ourselves a service and we're not doing our customers and prospects a service. We need to focus on our strengths. And if any weaknesses are part of the equation, then these are areas that we need to address with systems, resources, or other people where that is their strength that they can help you. It's better to pay someone than do it yourself if you're not really spending more time on the things that you're really good at in connecting with your audience. We want to be able to treat people that we work with the same level of respect that we would with our own families. You might be working with JV partners. You might be working with other speakers, event organizers, meeting planners. And again, treating them with the same respect that you would like your family. Again, we're focused on processes, not outcomes. And again, we think for ourselves. Many times we get caught up in other people's agendas, other people's values and principles, and we alienate our own. See, the thing is, it's okay to be unique, but instead of trying to prove yourself that you're unique to other people, be true to that, but be compelling to your audience. Connect with them on what's important to them based upon those core values that represent you. So I'll give you an example for myself. That would be integrity, transparency, and honesty. Everything I do in my personal life and in my business, it reflects around those three core values. And everything I post, which has nothing to do with my business, that's indirect, that connects with people, is based upon those values. People who connect with that get a sense of, this is someone that really inspires me, someone that I can trust, someone that I feel that if with what he does, now again, the why is more important, but now what he does, now if I'm in position, I'm looking for someone, a speaker that can really, bring people into the room, somebody that can really help our attendees, someone that is also a coach and they can help our businesses. This is someone I can trust and feel confident in recommending and having talk with us. They understand that we also give without expectation, receive without resistance. This is all trusting the process, meaning that when we give without expectation, it's not allowing people to take advantage of our good nature. It's knowing when to establish boundaries. But we're giving knowing that it comes back from wherever it comes back and trusting that process. Great speakers know that. So if you were turned down by a meeting planner or an industry event, instead of getting caught up in that, it may come back from somewhere else that you didn't even anticipate. And just knowing that it will happen. It's just a matter of when. We're continuously adding value. Again, it's being consistent with our value in terms of our contextual content, things that we can help people to apply in their daily lives. The more value that you're offering on a continuous basis is going to connect with your audience that first connects on those values. That's going to then feel like when they're in position to utilize your services, they're going to remember you. Or if there's someone they know that you could help, they're going to refer you. See, wouldn't it be nice if we had a speaking and coaching business or a corporate trainer business that we build it on referrals, on leveraged relationships, sphere of influence, not always having to rely upon marketing for every situation? See, this is what's nice when you can combine a trusted advisor or an influence strategy with your marketing. You have the ability now to really connect upon those values and those leveraged relationships that will help you to grow organically. And again, it's important that we continue to be the example of those values on a consistent basis, because people don't want to be sold. They want to buy, but they don't want to be sold. And when you empower people as an influencer to allow them to draw their own conclusions, they're more likely now when they make a decision based upon those values, if they can relate and they feel that you relate to them, they're more likely now to commit to do their part to take advantage of what you can provide them versus having to just try to sell them or to convince them to see your point of view. This is a more long-term sustainable solution that subconsciously will work over and over again for a more sustainable business model. So what is the impact over what you do? So again, when you're connecting on that why you do what you do with your audience, it's building that trust and that credibility that we talked about. We're always leading by example. We don't need to tell people how, when, or why to do it. So everything I'm sharing with you here is not telling you this is what you should do. This is simply providing you information that will allow you to draw your own conclusion, whether does this relate to you or not. If it doesn't, that's fine. because you're never going to be everything for everyone, but you will be something for someone, in this case, more than one person. And again, it's that someone or those people that do connect on those values, those are the people that you're going to continuously be in front, being that example that's going to lead to more business. And even during these difficult times, doesn't mean that people are looking and connecting based upon everything that we're talking about. It's just happened this week to myself. Because again, just don't assume just because things are bad in the world right now that people are not in a position to improve themselves. And they need good speakers, they need good coaches. But again, looking at it a different way than maybe you have to see how this can do for you based upon, again, what makes you, a more of an influencer rather than just a marketer. Again, it's building that rapport. And again, always seeking to retain, that retention with your clients by offering continuous value. So what's the impact over business? Well, you're more engaged, you're more focused. You're able to make more decisions more easily because we're able to be really lasered in on our audience. And what's great is that when you come from an influencer or a trusted advisor approach, empowering people to draw their own conclusion, you will allow them to become more decisive. They begin to see the bigger picture in why they want to do something or why do they want to change and how how you and what you do can help them to get there. And then again, the ability to take that action. So I'm going to give you an example of a trusted advisor. Now, many of you may recognize this gentleman or maybe not. But this is Howard Schultz. Now, this is he's the founder and CEO of Starbucks. He's also a speaker. He's also an advisor in other ways. He was actually going to be running for president at one point. I don't know if that is still the case. But what's great about Howard Schultz is that when he started his business, okay, now this is Starbucks. Now, again, relate to this on if you're a speaker in your business or whatever business that you have that you use speaking in to help grow it. See, when he founded Starbucks, it was more than just a coffee shop. It was more than a place to, just to get a cup of tea. It was to create an experience that would bring people in to connect at a deeper level over a cup of coffee, to do business, to make a new friend. Could be an extension of your workplace if you were working from home or perhaps had the flexibility to work away from your company or office. But see, it went beyond that. This was a gentleman that understood that they put people first. So just like you put people first as a speaker in your business, he put people first, that every employee that works for Starbucks receives benefits, whether if they're part-time or full-time. Not many companies do that. And it's amazing that, I don't know about you, but prior to the pandemic, when I would go into a Starbucks that I usually go into, a few of them, I always see the same people for a long period of time. You can't say that for some other similar businesses that are, in the food, in that type of business. There's a turnover, constant turnover. It's because of those values. It's because of, again, leading as a trusted advisor versus just a CEO, president, or some type of management title. This is what we have to do also in our businesses as speakers, as trainers, or if you do have another business that you're using speaking as a platform to grow your business. It's kind of thinking differently, shifting from a fixed to a growth mindset. So these are the things that we want to take into consideration. What is going to be important to our audience based upon those values? And how can we consistently be in front of them to add that value? So I'm going to discuss with you the 5 I's to influence mastery. So again, it's becoming a master influencer or a trusted advisor. We have to have insight. So what is that? Insight means that this is knowledge. But see, knowledge is great. But if the knowledge isn't applied, then what good is it going to do? Just because somebody now knows something they didn't know before, if it's not can't be applied, or you don't set the stage for them to really take ownership for themselves and empowering them to apply it, then you're not really adding that value to the level that you're capable of doing. See, when you're able to provide content, contextual content that leads to action in terms of your speaking, in terms of your coaching and your training, you have the ability now to people to take action and apply that knowledge. That's what an influencer and trusted advisor is able to do. They take initiative, meaning that they're proactive. And what we mean by proactive is that they're not waiting for something to go wrong, because things will go wrong, or there could be a downturn in the industry that you're in. You could be going through this global issue that we're all dealing with right now. But instead of just getting caught up in the problem, we're able to be proactive. We're one step ahead, if not more, so that we are prepared for certain situations to know how to go through them, not to avoid them and not to go around them. It allows us to focus on being in the solution rather than getting caught up in the problem. We talked about influence. Influence, again, is not persuading to see your point of view, not to sell somebody in itself. It's to empower them with knowledge that's applicable, that they can apply to draw their own conclusion. And when they buy into the why, when they buy into the values and principles that represent you, that relate to them, and they feel related to in some way, they're more likely now to see the value in now what you do that can serve them. So in essence, they're selling themselves without you having to actually try to sell them. It's impact. That everything we do is constant impact. Your social media posts, your talks, your trainings, that they're always delivering impact and value all the time, consistently. It's that energy that's going to, again, empower people. And that when we can find a model and a flow that works for us based upon those values and principles, we have the ability to really be more effective in terms of turning people that now relate to us and we relate to them into loyal customers. And again, if we're not doing this from integrity, then all those four eyes go right out the door. That's meaning that we're doing the right thing when no one's looking. See, it goes back to the give without expectation, receive without resistance statement I made earlier. If we know someone would be better for that person in a particular situation, even though we know we can help them, we're going to ask them if they're open for a recommendation to refer them to someone else that could be better suited for them. It's doing the right thing when no one's looking, knowing that it will come back full circle from somewhere else and more likely a better situation for you. Trust that process, using those 5 eyes of influence in everything you do. And look to see, does this relate to you? Can this be something I can maybe integrate into what I'm already doing to grow my speaking business, my coaching business, my training business, whatever the case may be, or another business in itself. So what are some content platforms that you can use to leverage the 5 eyes, to leverage yourself as a trusted advisor? Well, again, remember we talked about the strengths. Everybody has strengths and everyone has weaknesses. So you need platforms to connect with people on a consistent basis. Social media, right? We talked about that. But you may be very good at video. You may be very good at writing, doing blogs or articles for different sources in where your audience is. You may be very good at podcasts or radio shows, TV, speaking. Okay, speaking can be many different things. But again, it's focusing on the things that you're really good at versus not. So I'll give you an example. A lot of times people will come to me and say, Chris, you're an award-winning author. You must be a phenomenal writer. When's the next book coming out? And I'll tell people, because I'm transparent, to say, yeah, I did win an award for my book, and I've been in other books, but I'm not known as a writer. Writing is not a strength for me. I can write, little memes and statements and come up with some great content that really reinforces those values that we're talking about that connect with people. But I'm not really a writer. What I'm very good at is speaking in front of people to connect with them, human to human, based upon those values, being real, speaking from the heart, from my why. And that reflects in podcasts, radio shows, TV, and video as well. The written part is just not my sweet spot. So you don't see a lot of articles from me. So you got to get real with yourself and not focus on the things that you're not good at. And if it's needed for whatever reason, that you have someone that you can leverage with where that is a strength to help position you better in terms of your level as a trusted advisor. But again, the key with these platforms is consistency. It's not once in a while. A trusted advisor knows that we got to be in front of our sphere of influence and our audience on an ongoing basis. Now, I didn't tell what's a sphere of influence. These are people that you trust. They're in reputable positions, and maybe in the speaker world or in your industry or business. They could be in the coaching business, whatever the case may be. These are people that are more likely that trust you and they relate to these values and your influence strategy, more likely to be thinking about you to refer people. Think about a realtor. A realtor will have 50 to 100 people in their sphere of influence, but you'd be surprised that so many realtors don't leverage their sphere of influence at all. It's like they come up with it when they start and they forget about it. That is where the gold is. This is where that your sphere of influence may have the capability of providing you 3 to 5 qualified leads a year for what you do. But it's the why that's going to be doing the work. It's the why that's going to make the connection. It's now when you get someone that wants to work with you, it's now where the what is important. So what is your roadmap to growth as a trusted advisor? Well, again, this is more from a business acceleration standpoint. You could apply this in your speaking business, coaching business. But again, we need to be very clear on our values and principles. We need to be how that relates to the business itself and then our audience. We need to have to learn how to be present and trust the process that we talked about earlier, because it's in the moment that we have more clarity. And when we have clarity, more opportunities present itself that we were blind to in the past. We become more innovative and creative to look at ways that we can add value that way and also monetize it to grow our businesses. We tend to communicate a lot clearer. We're more specific and clear instead of coming from a place of always assuming and speculating. So again, that people, when they hear you, they understand you're very clear and specific, and they more likely will return that in kind. And it's the ability to follow through with massive action. So again, how can you design your roadmap, in your business? As a trusted advisor, again, it's incorporating a value statement. See, your value statement is not your mission statement. It's not your vision statement. Many businesses, whether I don't care if it's a one-man operation, a one-woman operation, or you have 50 people, a value statement represents what your business, why you do what you do. What is the core values that your business is built upon? Remember I said for me, it was integrity, transparency, and honesty. And is that reflected in everything that you do in your role and duties as a speaker, as a coach, as a business owner? See, that's what's going to connect. And when you get a firm understanding of that and you can connect that through everything else that you're doing, it's just going to be more effective in really bringing people to you. And we got to be specific with those goals and objectives, assessing those values and principles we talked about. Making sure that your strengths and your weaknesses are also reflected in the business. What are those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat? That's what SWOT is. It's clearly defining our core strategies to make sure that we are not getting distracted by other things, other shiny objects, that we are focused in the moment on a strategy that's going to take our business from A to Z and everywhere in between. And again, the ability to always be proactive in reviewing where we have to modify or enhance, because that can happen. Changes in the industry, global epidemics that we're going through now, all of the above that we may have to adapt. So what are your values and principles? So again, it's understanding your own values, your own principles, and again, learning how to create a culture in your business around it. Understanding how that aligns with your mission, understand how that connects with your audience that have similar values. Again, you're never going to be everything for everyone. Stop trying to convince people. Let the values subconsciously connect with people through everything that you're doing and adding value through social media, through your writing, through your speaking, through your videos. This is going to build your influence factor over time to build that referral machine that we all see. And again, it's what makes you more compelling. See, when people don't know who you are at first, they don't care what makes you unique necessarily. What makes you compelling. I remember I worked with a realtor one time that was also a speaker. She also had strong family values, but yet her business was struggling because she was just trying to connect with people on what she did. Trying to sell a home, trying to list homes. But because she was a great writer, she was able to write articles in the local community around family-related interests. And that's where she connected with people that had similar interests. And when they found out she was a realtor and then came out to see her speak, boom, they connected there. She began to grow her business from those values indirectly, not to what she did, but why she did what she did, to those values that we talked about. So it's about what's compelling to them first versus what makes you unique in what you do. And again, do you help them to solve their problems? See, now I'm not going to say this is right or wrong. I'm not saying that you can't solve somebody's problem, but more than likely it's going to require them to do their part. When you gain somebody's trust and they feel related to, and they've drawn their own conclusion to work with you, they're more likely to do their part to have a better experience now with what you do and to solve their own problem with your solutions in your process. Again, to execute growth in your business, you need to be consistent with those goals. They have to be laser focused. They need to be clearly defined. They can't be vague. The communication has to be clear and specific. And we need to track and report often based upon key performance indicators, knowing that when we are doing virtual summits, speaking at events, on webinars, that we know where we could track our growth from those particular areas. And constantly providing, managing that performance, whether if it's for yourself or if you have other people working for you. You may have virtual assistants. You may have other coaches and speakers maybe part of your business or collaborate with. That could be part of the equation as well. And making sure that we are rewarding them through recognition and remuneration as well. That again, that when we can say a simple thank you or reward people in other ways, that's only going to help you to scale your business. And again, the way to plan is using SMART goals to be very specific. So these are SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. Again, the more specific and more measurable we can be and achievable, and that they're realistic and that they're time-bound, the more likely we're going to achieve those goals. They need to be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to know everything that you have to do, but you can always write down what you know, trust the process, that the intelligence that you don't have now will come to connect the dots to lead you to the results you seek long-term. Great speakers and great business owners and coaches understand that and in the trusted advisor role. And again, having the necessary KPIs to track and measure your performance. See, one day your business may be worth money. You can increase the value of your business that you can sell one day. You'd be shocked that many people will have businesses and they'll live off of those businesses, but they're not sellable. There's no value in when they go to leave the business. You've worked all these years and you have now nothing to show for it. But if you plan it right and you have KPIs in order and you learn how to, really put more value into your business to make it sellable at some point, because you never know when you're going to exit your business. It could be due to a sickness. It could be due to a change in geographical location. It could be whatever. So you always want to be prepared. Trusted advisors understand that. And with that being said, I wanted to keep it to 35 minutes. And again, any questions that you have, Jason and I are here. I'm more than happy to address. But again, what I like to extend for everyone here is the opportunity, if you like to talk about your situation, where you are, and you'd like to have some direction, I'm offering a complimentary consultation where we can just, sit about you, what's important to you, about your business, the people you target, and I'd be happy to provide some tips and direction that you can take to move forward. And that is all complimentary being a member of the PSA, or for those that are not yet members, to take advantage of this, because this is the type of content and the service that you're going to get, becoming a member of the PSA. Jason, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to present to the members and those watching, considering PSA.
Thank you, Chris, for an intensely valuable not only review but expansion of what it is that we represent and what we do. And it really does fit in all the things that you do. Everything that you're involved in shows up in those lists that that's a roadmap to success for everybody, whether you're an author or a speaker or that's just, I really appreciate that. I hope that our folks appreciate that too. So opening things up to questions, happy to answer those. Been kind of monitoring the chat. For those of you that might like to take advantage of Chris's offer for
Okay, new message here. I can't hear you, Jason. I'm having a hard time. I want to make sure I had the bandwidth to.
I got zapped out for a second, so.
Yeah, it's okay. I wanted to. I couldn't hear you, so I figured I stopped sharing the. Maybe lower the bandwidth, so that way it would be more clear. So I'm happy to provide people in the chat box more information if they would like to, a complimentary consultation.
And I have posted that. I posted that link in there a couple of times, so folks.
Yes.
Can do that. There you go. 45 minutes with Chris can change your life, folks. This is, 40 years of speaking experience, 26 years worth of, helping executives on all kinds of levels. Another 4 years of doing exactly what he's doing right now. I mean, that's 70 years of experience all kind of squished into one 45-minute session.
I do this for University of Hartford and TD Bank's entrepreneurial programs for businesses. We do it for SCORE. We do this for Westchester Community College. I do this for a lot of the Pitch Live, America's Real Deal, a lot of the startups. I work with a lot of startups that are going public, plan to go public. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a mom or pop, if it's a sole proprietorship, it doesn't matter. The things I can maybe provide some insight are not only as a trusted advisor, but really looking at your business and seeing where you can add more value to make it valuable when it comes time to exit, to sell it. And those are some areas I can help people here with.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to share that mountain of knowledge that you have and the expertise. And so many of those markers were reminders for me of why not only did I wanted you to be one of our members for the Meet the Expert series, but also because the amount of value that you bring is beneficial to everybody. And it really doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. Like you said, sort of that all service. I can help you anywhere you are, whether you're starting or you're Fortune 500. All we got to do is sit down for 45 minutes and we can get an idea of how it fits for you. So I'm excited to get signed up, and I hope some other folks will take advantage of that.
Yeah, there's no obligation. If there's any questions here for anybody, you want me to address anything here, I'm happy to do so. Again, there's no obligation at all. This is for your benefit, and happy to do so.
Well, the one question I had you answered was, what is the sphere of influence, right? Because that's not always a word that people are connected to. And
sphere of influence, again, is like people in your circle that are well respected in their roles, in their industries, or in a certain business. These are people that you can trust. Again, you're connecting on those values and principles. These are the people that are more likely now, when you're adding that value based upon those core values, they're going to remember you and they're going to refer you. I get people that refer business to me all the time because I've leveraged and nurtured that sphere of influence for many years. The key is that you probably have a sphere of influence and you may not even know it. It's just that you just got to find out who are the people you know, and then how can you develop that in adding value to them? Again, maybe you're giving without expectation, maybe helping them in their businesses, but knowing that you'll receive when it comes back. Doesn't necessarily from the same source, but it will come back to you. You trust that process. So again, there's a question here. To be recognized as a trust advisor, is it appropriate to be employed by a company or more credible to be self-employed? Great question, Piola. It doesn't matter. This could be a trusted advisor, could be someone that works for a company. It could be a company in itself, and it's an entrepreneur, self-employed. There's no title. It's not tied to anything specific. It's a role. It's a duty. It's an action. So whether if you're a sole proprietor, you run an LLC, you're a speaker, you're a trainer, or you're running a corporation, or you're a manager, does not matter. You can be a trusted advisor in any of those positions, because again, if you're using speaking as a way to really communicate and connect, again, that's all part of that role.
It's a great answer, and true.
Okay. I thought I saw another question, but now it's the same one.
To be recognized as an advisor, are referrals needed, or the demonstration of skills in public spaces? May that be said?
Yeah, I can answer that. Again, as a trusted advisor, a key is to focus on our strengths, because that's where we're going to add more value. And this is where people are going to relate to, again, that and your core values. And again, when people feel that when they feel related to, like, ask yourself as a speaker, if you ever had someone come up to you after a talk and they said to you, I felt like you were talking right to me. Well, in essence, in reality, you weren't. You had 70 people in the room, but that one person felt that you were talking to them. That's how you made them feel. That's what made you compelling. That's a connection on those values. It might be your story that maybe reinforces a problem that they're experiencing. So yeah, it could be that as well, don't get me wrong, but it's the values. There's something that they relate to you, but more importantly, they feel that you relate to them. That's what made it compelling. That person's more likely now to want to know now what you do and how perhaps you can maybe help them help themselves. And there may be somebody in that room that came up to you and said, hey, I loved your talk. And that person may become part of your sphere of influence based upon developing that relationship. So it's, again, developing your sphere of influence and connecting with your audience based upon similar values. We're not talking religion. We're not talking politics. That has nothing to do with it. It's about try not to be everything for everyone. Be something for someone based upon those values. That's the key. That's the secret to kind of growing a business sustainably, and then using marketing wherever needed to kind of, when you have a new book coming out, you have a new product launch, but incorporate around those values and the other things that you're doing other than just what you're doing. Because again, you don't want to be like everyone else just pitching something. It's people connect on why you do what you do and what's compelling to them. Focus on that.
So we do a last call for questions. Folks that we have still hanging out with us here, of course, you can reach out to Chris directly. There will be a follow-up email that will have the same information available to you, the link that'll come out in the next 24 hours or so. It's also on the Public Speakers Association Facebook page, which is always handy, so you can catch the replay there right away. It will be posted up on the Public Speakers Association YouTube page as well, so we'll add that to the mix.
Oh, we have one more question. We have one more question here. How many years in the industry as a person can aspire to find it? Okay, great. Another great, Piola. Thank you for all these questions, because this is helping everyone here. There is no set period of time, but again, when you do have experience in your industry, maybe you're a published author, that gives you that credibility, obviously. But again, it's in the eye of the beholder. So it's not that you have to have a certain, set a period of time as an expert. Again, somebody might come up to you and say that you inspire me, and I feel like you relate to me, and you might only been doing this for 2 years versus someone that's been doing it for 30. So it really doesn't matter the length of time. It really comes down to what's compelling to them. and that you're connecting with them on those values other than just what you do. Now, don't get me wrong, what you do is important, but it's that connection on the why first before the what. So there's no set period of time. It's in the eye of the beholder and how you connect with them.
Well, everybody has different skills, right? And you might be really great at stepping up and getting in front of a group of people and sharing your message. But when it comes to dealing with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, right, you need some help. But somebody else that's only been doing that for 2 years, they're right there in the mix, right? That's your person. That person gets up and says, hey, I can beef up your presence. You know, it really doesn't matter. And in some industries, if you're new, you're actually right on the cutting edge of things.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. It brought my, let me get out of here. Sorry.
Just it really isn't about whether people can prove that they have the pedigree. It's do they get the results, right? And that's why you do what you do, is because you get results. And you know, you got to help figure out how to help people do that and help your people do it. Those are great questions, Bill. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Bill, thank you so much for it. It definitely benefits everyone listening as well.
Makes it that much more fun when we have the interaction. All right, folks, well, we're going to wrap up our Meet the Expert series for this evening. We're always slated to do about 45 minutes, so I like to honor people's time in that area. You can follow up with the comments or reach out to Chris at christophersalem.com. His contact is in the chat there, so it is available to you. Don't forget, if you were lucky enough to catch this, then you have been extended a 45-minute one-on-one consultation with Mr. Chris Salem himself. So hopefully some people will take advantage.
Yeah, just book a time, and there's never an obligation. I'm one of those people, I'm just going to get to know you, give you some direction, and you take it from there. That's what it's all about. So there's no obligation whatsoever.
Perfect. Perfect. Chris, thank you again on behalf of all of our viewers and those who watch the replay for taking the time to share with us. The Public Speakers Association appreciates your membership, your support, and for taking the time to share your expertise on our Meet the Expert series.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me. And thank you, everyone, taking time out of your evenings to join us today. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Brenda.
Everybody, take care. Thank you so much. And reach out in any way that you can if you've got interest in the Public Speakers Association and what we do. PublicSpeakersAssociation.com. That is the spot to go to. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.